Hello, how are you? You're welcome back. I'm Rowan Hand. This is Damien McCullough. Damien is a man of sport, an aficionado of the world of the solo run, the kick high, the Gary Owen, the fist passing. 100 fist passes per half in modern Gaelic football. That happens. Why don't they just boot the ball up the field?
Well, there's probably about 90% people saying the same thing, Ron.
Really? Yeah.
It's about possession, and it's about statistics, and it's about not giving the ball away, and it's about probing and looking to take the score from outside the normal scoring zone. It's just the way the game has gone, Ron, with the defensive system that has been set up by Donegal, probably started by Armagh and Tyrone in the early noughties. And perfected now by other teams. So it's to break down the so-called box defence that teams are putting down.
And the fans are very, very understanding of it, because 2 weeks ago, Danny Hughes says, I sat 2 weeks ago in the stands at Park Esler and listened to the Tyrone and Down fans yelling to their players, will you kick it?
Well, you know, you don't have to go down to Park Esler to do it. You just go to any Gaelic match and any level, and for the people, that's the word, you know. But football has evolved on, Rowan. It's got more scientific. It's got more. Well, it's all about possession, and the statistics prove that if you give the ball away, you will get punished. So it's just the way the game's going. Now, we did speak with Frank McDonald last week, and Frank did give a good account of the rules. And,
yes.
You know, there is rules that's there at the minute if the referees would apply them. Now, I've watched a couple of games since Frank has spoken to us, and the referees are not applying the rules as they should. So that's another story, Frank.
Rowan.
Rowan,
yeah.
Still tired
I know
after
it was
last night.
but wonderful. It was an extravaganza of pool last night.
Well, yeah, last night the Newry individual pools competition took part, sponsored by Destination Newry, and we brought it live from TJ's Pool Hall, a little gem of a pool hall up above what we would know as the Bit and Bridle, Rowan.
Oh, yes.
And it was a fantastic night of pool. It went on to the wee hours of the morning. We started yesterday and finished today, and you know there was some great games.
Yeah.
And you know, for the uneducated in pool. And I'd probably be one of them, because the rules I find a wee bit strange because of the way they play them.
But you were never ever behind the black ball.
No, and of course, if you got in behind the black ball, that meant that you were on the black ball and you were going to win the game. But last night, right up until the final, there were 16. There was some great pool player last night, and I would say the most disappointed man coming out of TJ's last night wouldn't have been Harvey Lavelle, who was beating the final. It would have to be Tristan Byrne, because Tristan, in the semi-final against Kieran McMahon, he was winning 1-0, and he was down to the black ball in his second semi-final game, and all he had to do was just roll in his red and just get a little position on the black, and he just overcooked the shot on the black, and he snookered himself.
He snookered himself.
Yeah, and I mean, the black, it was that easy to pat. I mean, I would have done it. You probably would have done it, but he got caught in behind another ball, and that let McMahon to come in. And the player of McMahon's ability, he took his chance, and he drew the match, and then he went into the next game, and he won 2-1. Went to the final. Harvey Lavelle was playing Cal Field in the semi-final. The two games went over the 20 minutes. The games are 20 minutes long. If you go over the 20 minutes, then the black ball is we call restacked. So the black ball is actually sat at the top cushion, 2 balls out, and sat, and then the boys shoot up the table to see who takes the shot on the black. And Harvey Lavelle, he won on those.
It's a great name, isn't it?
Harvey Lavelle.
Now we're riding Royal Tan coming into the arena. Now we have Harvey Lavelle. Harvey Lavelle beginning his round. He's coming to the water jump. He goes over. Harvey Lavelle clears it on Royal Tan. Listen, I've got to say something to you.
Yes, go ahead.
You're a remarkable man. You have just made snooker, pool. Billiards. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Well,
more or less.
More balls in billiards and less balls in snooker.
But you've made it interesting. In the last 3 minutes speaking there, you had me as far as I can be on the edge of my seat over Poole.
Well, I
but
mean,
you've done it. You
but
did it.
It was, I mean, you know, the standard, Rowan, I mean, I was flabbergasted about the standard. I mean, we sort of take it for granted when we go in, if we go out on a Thursday night and we see these guys playing pool and passing on marks. And the top players in the whole area was in TJ's pool hall last night. And I suppose probably the best two players got to the final. And without a shadow of a doubt, the best player won. And McMahon, he's an aggressive player. Lavelle would be the opposite. He would be very cagey, very, you know, he would be trying very hard to snooker people and all that. But he went for it in the fourth game, and he just missed it. So,
but you see, it's 99.82% to do with the individual skill of the player, but there's a little bit in there contributed by the nature and the excellence of the green sward, the baize, the table.
No doubt about it. The tables were in excellent condition last night. Jim has over in Tejas has the pools tables. It's a fantastic pool hall. And you know, I was sitting there and I was thinking of you know, when you think back to all the old black and white films, the old pool halls and the smoke hanging in the air and all that. Thank God there was no smoke hanging in the air last night. Brilliant pool players, brilliant atmosphere. All the other players from all around the town came out and supported everybody. So it was a great night, and it was great to be part of it.
Great night for Destination Europe.
Yeah, first time ever.
And we streamed it to the world, and we sponsored it.
That's correct. And I think the winner got £300 and the runner-up got 150.
Yeah.
So well done to everybody.
Absolutely. Now, you were telling us that General Eisenhower stood in the square in Warren Point and addressed the gathered American troops.
I believe so, before they headed off to D-Day. On this day, 70 years ago, all those that were billeted in Derrymore up beside us, 90% of them was killed on the beaches. Wave. So that's awful sad. You know, and when you think back, 70 years...
Short time.
It's a short time.
I'm 70.
You're 70, yeah. So it's a short span in the history of the world. And those men, and I think for the first time ever, people got to see coloured people, and you know, again,
going, wow.
Segregation was up there as well in the camp, but you know, they all fell together, you know, and fought together. But I suppose it was the liberation of Europe.
Yeah.
And now we go to talk about the liberation of the Ulster Championship.
But isn't it nice that you recalled that this morning? Because young men give their lives, and they give their lives in the cause of a freedom from oppression by the Nazis.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it's very, very historical. So,
but you segued me beautifully there back to the present day.
Well, of course, the big Ulster Championship game for this part of the world is Armagh takes on Cavan, you know. And we sort of sit and think, well, Armagh has a chance of beating Cavan, and Cavan has a chance of beating Armagh. How the times have changed from an Armagh perspective over the years, but that's just a sign of the times. Paul Grimley in his second year as head of Armagh. His starting team, it was announced last night, Philip McAvoy, Andy Mallon, Charlie Vernon, James Morgan, Mark Shields, Brenton Donaghy, Kieran McKeever, Kieran Toner, Aaron Findon, Keelan Rafferty, Kevin Dias, Eugene McVerry, Jamie Clark, Ethan Rafferty and Stephen Campbell. And then the Cavan team is Conor Gilson, James McLaughlin, Rory Dunn, Fergal Flanagan, James McEnroe, Alan Clark, Damien O'Reilly, Damien Givney, Gerard McKernan, Cian Mackey, Niall McDermott, Martin Riley, Eugene Keaton, Martin Dunn and Jack Brady.
Did that Gerard McKernan lose his way, or has he...
He was injured.
He took the soup.
No.
He's mentioned there in the Cavan team.
Yeah, I read the Cavan team out there. That's the second team. But the McKernan is a fabulous footballer.
For Cavan?
Yeah. He will definitely give Armagh their fill of it in the middle of the field. Yeah. I see the Armagh midfield is going to be Kieran Toner and young Aaron Finnan. Now, Kieran Toner has been injured, hasn't played much football. I know Stephen, the Carrowcropping man.
Yeah. You'll be shot for not remembering the Carrowcropping man.
Stephen Harld. I knew Stephen was under a wee bit of pressure from an injury, and Stephen obviously hasn't got over his injury, and he was saying to me during the week that there was a strong possibility that he wouldn't be fit. But it's a strong Armagh team. Charlie Vernon in full back. I'm a wee bit surprised at that. Brenton Donaghy hasn't played any football of note. He's coming in a centre half back. So will he play there, or will he move back to full back to mark the man that destroyed us last year, Martin Dunn? I don't know. But
there's a lot to be said for him coming up to give some support to the midfield so that they get the breaking ball and clear it.
Well, when I look at Ethan Rafferty named in at full forward, I have a half notion that Ethan Rafferty...
Watching.
Well, you know, if they give the high ball into him, the quick ball into him, he's a big man, he'll get the ball and he can score. So will he travel out to help the midfield? I don't know. Stephen Campbell, another big man, you know, big strong fullback, has been playing well. And then obviously Jamie Clark. Jamie is the man. But, you know...
What is it about Clark?
Well,
he's a greyhound of a fellow. There's nothing to him. He's tall and thin and lanky. But he's some footballer.
Look, I've said it a million times. You don't have to be 6'10" and built like the proverbial middle chimney to be a good footballer. Yes, if you can do that, that's a bonus. But Jamie Clark, you can't catch him. He twists, he turns, he can shoot right foot, left foot. The only thing is Jamie Clark will be targeted. But Cavan will set up utterly defensive. They'll put 13 men behind the ball. They'll play the way Donegal has played. So Armagh, looking at the way the team has been picked here, Kevin Dias is back in. Kevin Dias, they've put Eugene McVerry out into the wing half-forward position. So you have Rafferty and McVerry, who are absolute flyers, coming up and down the field. And Dias can kick from long distance. So, you know, it's a fairly strong team. I'm a wee bit sort of shocked that Tony Kernan hasn't made the starting 15. I know Aaron Kernan has been injured, and Aaron will probably take part in some way. Charlie Vernon in at full back. Again, I didn't expect that, but Charlie's a big, strong fella. Andy Mallon making a comeback to the Armagh corner back. McAvoy, there was talk that Harney might have been coming in there, but obviously they went for the experience of McAvoy. So it's a fairly strong team from an Armagh point of view, so I'm expecting Armagh to win that game by 4.
But how would you put a figure on it?
I would say Armagh by 4.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah, goals.
Well, I would. Well, you were on about Harvey Lavelle or Harvey Smith earlier on there, but now you're nearly talking World Cup
football. You're giving your age away. You recognise that I was really speaking about Harvey Smith.
Well, I remember reading about him. He was a legendary man, you know.
What else should you be telling me?
On Saturday, Rowan, you know, Sky now enter the game of GAA, where we have been at it for years, and Sky come in. Damien Rafferty, he says when he was playing, he would have loved the Sky to be there, to be able to watch his every move, to follow his track, because sometimes they put cameras on individual players and they follow them around the field. Sky come into it, and it has caused a little bit of dissension in the ranks, because the GAA, as an organisation and as a following, we're very traditional. So it's the Sunday game, it's RTE, it's the radio.
Yeah.
But now Sky
O'Hare.
Yeah, well, Sky now have pushed in their teams. But trust me in this, Rowan, there is no Micheál O'Hare or Micheál O'Murray with Sky.
No, but she's better looking.
Well, no, Rachel Watts. She's the anchor girl, so she's a fine presenter. She's a great presenter.
She certainly is a fine.
And she knows.
Fine.
She knows.
Yeah.
Well, we have to be careful here, Ron. But
why should I be careful? Joe Brawley wasn't careful.
No, but you're no Joe Brawley.
Yeah.
Although you get more like Francie Brawley with the beard. But
thank you very much. I'll talk to you after about that.
But she's good, and you know, but Brian Carney, I'm not so sure about him.
Yeah.
I watched them last night trying to describe the black card and the red card and the yellow card and all that. We all know about it.
I have to say to you, if you don't, go on, I interrupt
well, if you want to
sorry.
know about that, just go back into our Saturday night show, our last Saturday show, where we have a segment where Frank McDonald explained the rules very, very simply and very clearly.
I'm more interested in wondering why you are not on the Sky team, because you're commentating, and I spoke about it when I first heard you do it, and it's, you know, I know we pay you a lot of money here, and there's no doubt about that, but if your whole future on the global scene opens up with Sky, and you, I often thought when you commentated on a match, it was like a 1 hour orgasmic experience for you. It was then the ball's coming high and it's going in, down, it's coming quick and it's going quick. 8 toe taps, one, put it over the head of the bench, and it's going high into the left-hand side, and he puts it in the back of the onion net. I remember you doing these things. And why? you know, you're so good at it, and we're talking about people who are no good at it on Sky.
Well, you see, I'm a wee bit disappointed.
They're enthusiastic, but they don't have the experience.
But I'm a wee bit disappointed that Sky actually moved in the TV3 guys. You know, they slipped them from TV3 into Sky. And I just felt it was an opportunity for Sky to go and get, you know, other people who are every bit as good.
Absolutely.
You know, and, you know, you said that we're not on a global scale. Of course we're on a global scale.
Oh, we are,
we're going around the world. But you see, the sad thing, Rowan, if I had went to Sky, I couldn't do this with you.
No.
And
no.
I couldn't be getting these accolades that you're giving me that I wouldn't be getting from other people. So I appreciate
Well, the great
them.
accolade this morning for you, do you know what the great accolade for this man this morning was? I'm sitting here at 8 o'clock knowing that you're going to be here at 8:15. And one of my senior managers said to me, what will we go to? Maybe, you know, Damien McCullough was late, very, very late this morning. He didn't get home to 3 o'clock. He may not make it. I said, no. I said, listen to me out. I said, no, McCullough will be here. There are men who do and men who do not. McCullough does.
But it's not just me. I mean, I do the easy thing. I just sit and talk and explain what happens and describe things. And I suppose
You're still, you don't cut it with Rachel, though. You're not the same quality
Well, no,
as
but I
Rachel.
mean, I would say, Rowan, that if Rachel Wise was sitting here and I was sitting here.
No, you'd be sitting here. I'd be sitting there.
Well, if she was here and we were discussing the GAA,
yeah.
I can tell you there would only be one winner.
Yeah, but I mean...
There would only be one winner, Ron. There's no question about that.
But I know that.
I wish her...
But I'd be looking at her.
I wish her well. I hope she does a good job, because I know we're all sitting waiting to see how Sky are going to deliver, because, you know, Sky took a pub game and brought it to the masses and made it fantastic. And they're filling out stadiums, maybe 15 or 20,000, you know, the big halls, the Albert Hall, the City West in Dublin, the Odyssey in Belfast, all around the Mac in Manchester or Birmingham, all around the place. So that's what they can do. If they can do that to Sky, now they're going to witness for the first time, they're going to witness hurling. And I can tell you, Henry Shefflin's not playing, which is a pity, the greatest hurler as far as I'm concerned, ever. But they will be seeing now what they're going to be witnessing on Saturday night, which they have never seen. And then when you slip over to a wee soccer match that's going on in the World Cup, they will be sitting watching guys playing hurling, boys, big hits, big GA hits, no quarter asked, none given. Blood will be coming from wounds. The helmets will be, well, they can't knock them off now. They'll be wrapped up, and the only protection that the hurlers wear are the helmets, and obviously gum shields now. It will be the greatest. I can tell you one thing, Ron. Sky have never seen anything like they're going to see tomorrow night. I can tell you that is going to be
frightened me. But I mean, the ultimate protection in hurling is to make sure that you are body to body, shoulder to shoulder, chest to chest with your man. Because if you're that close, the edge of the hurl can't get you. It goes around you.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. And, you know, there's a thing about Kilkenny. I just love Kilkenny. I love what Brian Cody brings. And, you know, how would you describe Brian Cody? And I know Brian Cody tried to sort of evaluate between soccer and hurling and what Cody is. And he did say, and I suppose he got, one of the things he got right, he would have said that Cody would be like the Alex Ferguson of
very
soccer.
much so.
But better, because firstly, Cody doesn't do it for the money. He does it for the glory. He does it for the glory of his county and his city. And if you ever have the opportunity to talk to Brian Cody or be close to him, you can see that Kilkenny seeps out of every pore in his body. And when things go bad and he doesn't get the result, he's man enough to put the hand out and say, well done to the other team. I think he's a legend. He's a legendary manager. And Kilkenny are a top class team. Now, they're coming into play Offaly, who maybe are going through a bad enough spot. But it'll be a cracking game of hurling. And I can tell you, it was a great one for Sky to get. And we'll just wait to see how it goes.
I think you're wonderful. What else have you to tell me before we close?
Well, I was just looking at the Eugene McGee, who brought in the black card scenario and all that. And he's saying now, he says that he thinks that the referees in the GA should actually get paid. And, you know, there's a wee bit of me starting to agree with him in this context, because, like, there was a great man, John McDermott from Meath, who refereed an All-Ireland final way back in the day, and then the next week he went and played for his county. Now, that wouldn't happen at this minute in time. The great Galway trainer, John Dunn, he refereed the 1945 final when Cork beat Cavan. Bill Delaney of Laois was in charge of the drawn final of 46 between Kerry and Roscommon. And Cavan All-Ireland winner Simon Dagnan refereed the 1950 final, Mayo and Louth, and in 1958, Dublin and Derry. And of course, unfortunately, Derry got beat. And Peter McDermott, who was a legend, and of Meath, he handled the 53 final between Kerry and Armagh, where we missed that penalty. Yeah, and the following year, he played for Meath in the final when they beat Kerry. So I could never see that happen now. But the moral of that story is, Rowan, ex-Corn footballers refereeing the game. Now, obviously, the game has moved on dramatically since that, and how the game has changed. But, you know, is this the time now to bring in more professional and maybe pay the referees?
They're paying managers on a wink and a nod now with this, that and the other.
We have to say that managers get expenses, right?
How do we define expenses, I ask?
Well, that's...
The people who don't get paid are the lads who are thumped around the field.
There's men gets thousands of pounds a week called accountants to be able to sort all that out. But, like, we looked at Pat McEnany on the Sunday game last week. He sat up in the corner, sitting in the high chair like you there now with your hands and all that.
And praying.
Well, maybe cringing because he admitted he gets 70% of the big calls wrong, right? Aye. Now, from a Down perspective, and the Down game in Omagh, Down had a chance to go one ahead, they didn't do it. But the last score that Tyrone got, and everybody remembers that under the stand, there was a sideline ball. And there was a little bit of altercation about 30 yards close to the goals.
Yes.
The two boys collided. What happens? The referee, in his wisdom, now this is one of the top 16 referees in the country. What does he decide to do? He decides to bring the ball in, and gives John Kavanagh a chance to equalise. The call was totally wrong. It was wrong, and it was wrong. And this was from the top, one of the, probably the number one or number two referee in the country. And if these guys are getting the basic rules wrong, I dread to think what's happening, because, you know, players, like, you look at Down. By right, Down should have been in the next round of the Ulster Championship. They're out. They're waiting on the draw for the back doors, as they call it. But it was a big call. McEnany says we only get 70% right. And he's sitting and saying, well, I don't think 70% is bad.
Oh,
my book is totally wrong.
Totally wrong.
It should be at least 95%. But again, I mean, it's easy to criticise the referees, Rowan, but in a huge game like that, that's you know, you don't see, you didn't even have to see it. He seen the foul, but he should have known the rule.
Yeah, but it's not easy to. It's duty to ridicule the referee, because you're the only court of answerability.
Well,
because there's nobody else going to hammer them.
Well, you know, that's the thing, because, you know, like, even the referee got it wrong. He hasn't been penalised. He's still going to get another run out for the next big game, because there's only 16.
And he'll do the same thing again.
Well, maybe. Hopefully not. But all I can say is now, Paddy Coo's is refereeing the Dublin match on Saturday in Croke Park. I wish him well. He's a Cross McGlen man, along with his team of umpires from South Armagh. We wish them well. Pat McGo's one of them, and them lads, they go all over the country, and they take their duties very serious. They're good at what they do. So I wish Paddy Coo's the very best. And just to finish on another note, Rowan, Kingspan Breffni Park. I'm sure we know where that is. That's in Cavan. That's the ancestral home of Cavan Gaelic football. So now the next thing that we're going to be looking at is Kingspan Ravenhill Park. And Kingspan have sponsored Ulster Rugby, Ravenhill Park, a legendary rugby ground in Belfast for the next 10 years. So
10 years? They signed up for 10 years?
Signed up for 10 years. So
nice work if you can get it.
So it's interesting times.
Thank you. Go well. Music maestro, please.